Last side, which you did this morning, I'm told. And now the last part of it is Jiyu Kumite offensive techniques, attack. Okay? Us. All right. So, when you face your opponent, what's the first thing you want to know? Carl, wait.
Us.
When you face your opponent, what's the first thing you want to know about your opponent?
How upset they are.
First thing I want to know is where is their weak point.
Okay. Good. Anybody else?
What side wants to attack?
What?
The reach and what side wants to attack? Left or right?
Which side to attack? Anybody else?
What type of fighter?
What?
Oh, their reach and their speed.
Okay. Reach and speed. How quick they are and
Timing.
what distance they can cover.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Anybody else?
What type of fighter?
What type of fighter? Okay.
Look for the opening cue.
You want to know their timing?
All right.
Weapon?
Kumite has two systems. Attack system and defense system. Okay? The attack system is made up of what we call an attack cycle. There's a cycle which you go through when you attack. When you face your opponent, what you said is all very important things you want to know. But the first important thing in the attack cycle is what we call assessment of your opponent. Assessment consists of a lot of these things, but the basic core question that you have to ask yourself is, what is he going to do when I attack him? Remember, I am concentrating on attack, not defense. Okay? This is an attack system. Okay? If I attack this person here, what is he going to do? That's the first question you must try to assess. And it's not like you have a whole day to take an exam and write it down. You just have to look at them, move a couple of times, and you have to say, this person is going to, this type of fighter, this type of fighter, this sort of thing. And he's going to likely react this way. And you test them out, and then you get the idea, you get feedback, and right away, you know this is the first part of the attack cycle, assessment. Okay? The second part of the attack cycle is called setup. You have to set up your attack. Okay? Too many fighters get into the ring and there's no setup. From here is who is the fastest gun alive. Right? Just like cowboys. Right? I get in there, who's faster? There's no setup. Too many fighters miss the setup. Okay? Setup is how to create the opening for you to score. Okay?
Yes.
Without the opening, there is no little chance that you will score. The third part of your attack cycle is called the execution of the technique. This is where you go in and you score your point, get back out. Alright? Then, the next part of your cycle is called, from here, get back out. Then you have to go back, re-evaluation. Did it work? Did it not work? Why? It didn't work. If it worked, why it worked? So, I can do it again. Alright? So, basic, simple concept. This goes on and on and on in any fight. Okay? You have to evaluate, you have to set up, you have to score, get back out, and then re-evaluate and start all over again. Okay? All right. get, everybody here has experience, right? How do you get, first part, how do you evaluate what he's going to do?
Throw fake.
Throw a fake, okay? See what reactions he gets. If he is this type of fighter, send fighter, all right? You throw a fake and he's going to do so. He's going to come in and he's looking all the time for the opportunity to score. Right away, a fake is very important. What will block you from assessing that?
Me doing it to you. First.
If he does it to you first,
He's assessing you.
he's going to, two of you assessing each other. But does that mean that he's blocking you from assessing him?
No.
No. What blocks you?
If he's calm and doesn't react to the fake.
Which tells you a lot of stuff about him.
He's experienced.
If he's calm and you faking him and he's just calm and deadly. Right? Like calm. Right? If he's calm and deadly, that's a lot of information you've got. Okay? So what blocks my being able to do that evaluation?
If I'm just thinking about attacking and not thinking about him.
If you're afraid. Fear. Fear is the number one blocker. All right? It interferes with your sight, with your ability to see what he will do. You know, when people get into what we call the flow of things, all right? There's a psychological state we call the flow. You know what that means?
Suppose.
It's equivalent to martial arts motion. Okay? Clear mind. Okay? That's the uncluttered mind. Okay? And that position, you can see. People tell you when you get into that position, when you're into your flow of fighting, when you're in the psychological state of flow, time almost slows down. Your opponent's movements seem like they're in slow motion to you. And your evaluation of him, you can tell what he's going to do long before he does it. You seem to have an eternity of time before when he moves so that you can hit it. It's like he's moving in slow motion and you're moving at full speed. That's what we call psychological state of flow. And one of the biggest blockers to that is fear. Okay? So, how do you overcome fear? Practice. Practice and confidence, yes. You have to train over and over and over enough so that you have that confidence to go out there and do what you can do. Right? Some people train a lot and they still can't overcome fear. There's always fear of something. They may have confidence in the technique, but they may be afraid of or conscious of people looking, okay? Other things like that, right?
Sensei,
Yeah.
is the fear of your technique not working the same as being afraid of someone? Like if you're fighting and you're second guessing your technique.
Yeah, if you're second guessing your technique, this is all part of fear, right? There's a doubt in your mind you've created somehow. So, training is a big part of it, but what about your ki, your energy? Freedom.
So Tanaka says that, who is one of the great fighters, he says that ki is what you use to overcome the fear. And that is, you have to bring up the energy into your center, and then you have to focus it on your opponent. So when you walk into the ring, you have to dominate him with the energy. So because the fear will overcome you. He was a most important thing for him. He could not get into the flow unless he was able to do that. So he used to bring up the energy, and then he came into the ring and just poured it onto the opponent. But he says also that you have to be careful and don't waste it. Because some opponents are strong and you just pour out your ki and you don't have anything to go back and do anything with. So usually you push the fighter into a corner and see how he will, if that will cause him to get unnerved. And if he's not unnerved, you have to keep the ki within you, that energy. And you have to then get him into a position where you can just call him back out, where you can just pour that energy on him. He says that's how he got into it. That's what the research says.
Thank you.
You have experienced this?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I make a lot of ki shout. Before you start fighting. You know,
This is how you raise your energy?
yes, it raises your energy and it drives fear into your opponent. They say, this is a mad person.
People won't fight mad people, that's one thing for sure.
Yeah.
That's a number one show.
We want you to repeat so he can translate.
You say you do a lot of kiais to...
Was at the start of the match or start of the fight. So that builds my spirit, my fighting spirit, and also drives fear. This is the shout, the sound, and opponent gets nervous, wondering what I'm all about.
Commence ses matchs en faisant beaucoup de kiais pour monter sa confiance en l'énergie, puis pour intimider son adversaire, pour faire peur à l'autre, parce que l'autre il voit arriver en criant, il se demande qu'est-ce qu'il fait. Voilà, c'est ça. Right, thank you.
Was
Do you mean, like, when you're in the ring, or before you face your opponent? Or as you start to spar with him, you throw a lot of ki eyes at him?
well, at the command, Ashime!
Okay, that's right. Okay, right now.
Step into the ki. Okay. Mr. Tanaka says that in his book, Perfecting Kumite, that he goes to sleep. The reason why he does that, he says, is because if he's up and he paces around and looks at the matches, his ki goes out of him. He wastes his energy. His internal ki goes out. And as a result of that, by the time he comes to the match, he's drained. He finds takes a sleep, finds a quiet place, lie down and sleep. And tells his student to wake him up about 5-10 minutes before the match. And he takes a cold towel, wipes off his face, and raises his ki, and then goes out and owns the ring. All right? And that mental owning of the ring is important. But not wasting your ki is important. Okay? Applying it at the right time. It is a mental force that you put on your opponent during the fight.
Yes.
That tells him that, don't trouble him. You can't come. You feel it when you're fighting. Okay? All right. So, how do you train? The next question is, how do you train this Kumite cycle, this attack cycle? Okay? Number one thing is that you have to have a scoring technique, a finishing low technique. Okay? If you don't have that, you can't do Kumite. You wouldn't be successful at Kumite. There must be at least 1 or 2 blows or so more that you can use as a real weapon. Okay? If you don't have it, then you don't have a chance in Kumite. It's like going into a gunfight without a bullet. Gun without a bullet. If you have no bullets in your gun, Vamos, go